you have felt it. That undeniable pull, that whisper in the depths of your being, telling you that this person is different, not just another fleeting presence in your life, but someone significant. Your rational mind may try to dismiss it, searching for logic, for proof, but something deeper inside you already knows. Yet love, real love, is never just a feeling. It is a test. It does not simply arrive to comfort you, it arrives to shape you, to refine you, to break apart the illusions you have built about yourself and what love should be. The people who truly matter to us are not always the ones who make life easy. They are the ones who awaken us, challenge us, force us to confront parts of ourselves we would rather ignore. So, the question is not whether your intuition is right. The real question is, are you ready for what this love will ask of you? There is a peculiar thing about love, a kind of knowing that arrives before reason has had the chance to interfere. You meet someone and something stirs deep within you, not a loud proclamation, not a dramatic revelation, but a quiet certainty, a sense of familiarity, as if your soul recognizes them before your mind has even caught up. And yet, the moment you begin to feel this, the mind steps in with its questions. Why this person? What is it about them? What if I'm wrong? But love, real love, does not introduce itself through explanations. It does not come with an instruction manual or a neatly wrapped answer. It simply arrives, unannounced, and waits for you to notice. There is a reason for this. The most profound connections in life are not discovered through logic. They are felt. They emerge in the quiet moments, the way your energy shifts in their presence, the way your thoughts soften, the way a simple exchange leaves a lingering warmth that defies words. And perhaps that is what makes love so difficult to grasp. It refuses to be pinned down. So often, we are conditioned to believe that love must fit into a structure, that it must look a certain way, follow a predictable pattern, unfold at a reasonable pace. But real love does not obey such rules. It moves in strange and unpredictable ways. It does not ask for permission to be known. And when it arrives, it does not matter whether the timing is convenient, whether it fits into the script of your life, because something deeper than your plans is at work here. Have you ever met someone who, for reasons beyond your understanding, feels like home? Not because they are perfect, not because they tick all the right boxes, but because there is something in them that calls to you, something that feels like an echo of a truth you cannot quite articulate. You may try to explain it away, rationalize it, even resist it, but the feeling remains. And that is your sixth sense speaking to you. That is the part of you that knows, even when you do not. The trouble is, we have been taught to dismiss such knowing. We have been taught to distrust anything that cannot be measured, categorized, or logically explained. We hesitate, we analyze, we second-guess ourselves into uncertainty. And yet, if you look back at the most significant moments of your life, you will find that the things that truly changed you, the people who truly mattered, were never the ones you carefully planned for. They were the ones who arrived unexpectedly, the ones who disrupted the pattern, the ones who awakened something in you that had long been dormant. And so, when love appears in this way, when you feel the pull towards someone before you can explain why, perhaps the question is not, what does this mean? But rather, what is this revealing in me? Because the truth is, love is not about finding someone who makes sense on paper. It is about recognizing someone who speaks to a part of you that words cannot reach. This is not to say that every intense connection is meant to last forever, nor that every feeling of recognition guarantees a smooth and easy path. But it does mean that love is far more mysterious than we often allow it to be. It is not just chemistry, nor circumstance, nor shared interests. It is something older, something deeper, something that whispers, this is important, before we even know why. So if you feel it, if you sense it, in the quiet spaces of your mind, in the unspoken moments that linger, in the way your heart reacts before your thoughts can interfere, then perhaps it is worth listening. Because love does not introduce itself with certainty. It does not hand you a roadmap or guarantee a painless journey, but it does offer you something far greater, the opportunity to step into something unknown, something transformative, something real. And the only real question is whether you are willing to trust what you already know. Love has an extraordinary way of revealing itself, not as an easy, effortless drift into harmony, but as a force that shakes you awake. When you meet the one who truly matters, there will be moments of breathtaking synchronicity, a feeling of deep alignment, a sense that the universe has woven your paths together with precision. And yet, love is not just about alignment, it is also about challenge, because to love deeply is not merely to find comfort in another, but to be confronted with yourself. You may feel an undeniable connection with this person, but that does not mean the path will always be smooth. In fact, the ones who touch our souls most profoundly are often the ones who stir the deepest parts of us, the parts we have not yet fully understood, the wounds we have not yet fully healed. This is where love ceases to be just a pleasant experience and becomes something more, something transformative, something that demands you to evolve. We often think of love as something that should be easy, something that should bring only joy and certainty. But love, real love, has no interest in keeping you comfortable. It does not merely reflect the parts of you that you admire, it reveals the parts you would rather avoid. It brings out your impatience, your fears, your insecurities. Not to break you, but to show you what still needs to be understood. And this is why the person you are truly meant to be with will not simply be the one who makes you feel safe. They will also be the one who, at times, unsettles you. Not because they wish to, but because their presence acts as a mirror, showing you all that is unresolved within yourself. Think about it. If love were only about ease, what would it teach you? If it never tested you, never demanded anything of you, how would it shape you? The truth is, the most meaningful relationships do not just bring happiness, they bring growth. And growth is never without discomfort. To love another is to be willing to let go of the rigid idea of who you think you are. It is to be open to change, to be stretched beyond the limits of who you were before you met them. You may find moments where you resist this. You may feel the urge to turn away, to retreat into what is familiar, to push them away rather than face what they are revealing in you. But the friction you feel is not a sign of something wrong, it is a sign of something real. It means this person is not just here to make you happy, they are here to make you whole. And to become whole, you must be willing to face the unfinished parts of yourself. It is tempting to believe that love should always feel like a gentle tide, never a storm, but even the calmest oceans are shaped by waves. The depth of your connection is not measured by the absence of conflict, but by your willingness to navigate it. To understand that the person you love is not here to complete you, nor to remain frozen in an idealized version of themselves, but to grow alongside you just as you grow alongside them. And this is where the real beauty of love lies. Not in perfection, not in certainty, but in the willingness to embrace both harmony and challenge, to look at another and say, I see you, even when it is difficult. I choose you, even when I am afraid. I am willing to stand in the fire of transformation with you, knowing that on the other side we will not be the same, but we will be something greater. Because love is not about staying the same, it is about becoming. Love has a way of making itself known, but the mind, ever so cautious, resists what the heart already understands. You feel it, that quiet certainty, that deep pull towards someone who seems to fit into your life like a forgotten melody suddenly remembered. And yet, almost as soon as you recognize it, doubt creeps in. You begin to question whether what you feel is real or simply an illusion spun by your own desires. This is the paradox of love. The deeper the connection, the more the mind struggles against it. And why? Because love, true love, is not logical. It does not conform to neat, predictable patterns. It arrives unannounced, disrupting the careful order you have built. And in doing so, it demands that you step beyond what is familiar. And the mind does not like this. The mind prefers what it can control, what it can explain. But love does not ask for permission, it simply is. You may find yourself searching for proof, looking for reassurance that this feeling is not just a fleeting trick of the imagination. You may analyze their words, dissect their actions, try to measure the depth of your connection with the crude tools of logic. But love does not live in logic. It is not a mathematical equation to be solved. It is a presence, a force, an experience that defies analysis. And the moment you try to place it under a microscope, it slips through your fingers like water. Doubt is not the enemy. It is simply the mind's way of trying to protect you. It whispers, what if I am wrong? What if I am only seeing what I want to see? What if this is just another passing infatuation? But beneath all these questions, something remains, that feeling, that knowing, that pull toward the person who, for reasons beyond your understanding, feels like home. And no matter how much you try to rationalize it away, it lingers. And so you find yourself at a crossroads. Do you listen to the mind, which seeks to control, to categorize, to make sense of what cannot be made sense of? Or do you trust what you already know, not in the way the world teaches you to know things, not with facts and figures, but with something far older, far deeper, a knowing that does not come from the intellect, but from the very core of your being? Love is not about certainty, it is about trust. It is about surrendering to what you feel, even when you cannot explain it. It is about allowing yourself to be drawn toward someone, even when fear urges you to hold back. Because the truth is, love is not something you find, it is something you recognize. It is something that was always there, waiting for you to see it. This does not mean the journey will be easy. There will be moments when fear clouds your vision, when past wounds whisper that it is safer to stay guarded. But love does not thrive behind walls. It asks you to be open, to be vulnerable, to step into the unknown without demanding guarantees. And that is the greatest challenge of all. So you will doubt. That is inevitable. But doubt does not mean you are wrong. It only means you are standing on the edge of something real. And the only way to know where it leads is to step forward. Because love is not meant to be figured out. It is meant to be lived. Love, in its truest form, does not just arrive, it reveals. It is not simply an experience, but a mirror, showing you the parts of yourself that you might otherwise overlook. And the deeper the love, the clearer the reflection. It is easy to think that love is about another person, that it is something outside of you, something to be found, to be grasped, to be possessed. But the truth is far more interesting. Love does not just connect you to someone else, it connects you to yourself. It exposes the places where you are guarded, where you hesitate, where you still carry the echoes of old wounds. It shows you the patterns you repeat, the fears you cling to, the stories you tell yourself about what love should be. And when you meet the person who truly matters, the person who stirs something deep within you, this reflection becomes impossible to ignore. You may notice that their presence awakens both great joy and great fear. You may find yourself drawn to them with an intensity that defies explanation, yet at the same time you may feel resistance, an urge to step back, to question, to retreat into the safety of what is familiar. And that is because real love does not just comfort you, it challenges you. It asks you to grow. There is a reason certain people come into our lives in the way that they do. Not all connections are meant to be easy. Some are meant to shake you awake, to pull you out of your slumber, to show you a new way of seeing yourself and the world. And yet, when faced with this, the mind often reacts with fear. It wants to maintain control, to keep things predictable. It wants love to be something neat and orderly, something that unfolds according to a plan. But love does not work that way. It arrives like a wave, and you can either resist it trying to hold your ground, or you can surrender and let it carry you to a place you have never been before. Think about the people who have shaped you the most in life. Were they the ones who made everything easy? Or were they the ones who in some way challenged you to grow, who forced you to confront something in yourself that you would not have faced otherwise? Love is no different. The person who truly matters is not just the one who makes you feel good. They are the one who, simply by being in your life, invites you to become more of who you truly are. This does not mean love is meant to be a struggle. It does not mean you must suffer in order for a connection to be real. But it does mean that love, at its deepest level, is a process of unfolding, and that unfolding is not always comfortable. It asks you to let go of old fears, to release past hurts, to step beyond the limits of who you thought you were. And so, when you meet someone who brings this kind of energy into your life, you have a choice. You can see them as an accident, as a coincidence, as just another passing encounter, or you can recognize them for what they truly are, a turning point, a moment of awakening, a doorway into something greater than you have yet imagined. Because love is not just about finding another person. It is about discovering yourself in ways you never could have alone. Love is not something you chase. It is something you allow. And yet, the moment you realize that someone truly matters to you, an odd thing happens. The mind begins to cling. It seeks certainty, security, a guarantee that this connection will unfold just as you hope. But love, by its very nature, resists possession. It is not something to be controlled, not something you can hold in your hands like an object. It moves like the wind, like the ocean. Something vast, alive, and entirely indifferent to our attempts to contain it. The more you grasp at love, the more elusive it becomes, not because it is trying to escape, but because love is something that must be lived, not controlled. And yet fear tempts us to tighten our grip, the fear of loss, of change, of uncertainty. It makes us want to hold on too tightly, to secure the connection, to make it into something fixed, something permanent. But the irony is that love is most alive when it is given space to breathe. You may find yourself wanting reassurance, proof that this person will always be there, that this bond will never fade. But love does not work in guarantees. It is not a contract. It is an unfolding, a dance. And like any dance, it requires movement, fluidity, a willingness to let things be as they are. The moment you try to force love into a rigid shape, it begins to suffocate, and what was once light and effortless becomes heavy with expectation. Think about the times in your life when you have felt most deeply connected to another. Were those moments born out of control, of careful planning, or were they moments of pure presence, of simply being together without needing to grasp, to define, to label? Love thrives in that space of openness. It asks you to trust, not in guarantees, but in the unfolding of the experience itself. But trust is difficult, isn't it? Because trust requires surrender. It requires letting go of the need to predict the future, to lock things into place. It means accepting that love, like life itself, is impermanent, that it will change, evolve, perhaps even fade. And that is a terrifying thought. But what if, instead of fearing this impermanence, you embraced it? What if, rather than trying to control love, you simply allowed yourself to experience it fully, without clinging, without needing it to be anything more than what it is in this moment? This is the paradox. The more you release your need to possess love, the deeper it becomes. When you stop trying to control, you begin to truly see the person before you, not as a possession, not as a fixed certainty, but as a living, breathing soul, ever-changing, just as you are. And in that recognition, love becomes something far greater than a mere attachment. It becomes a kind of freedom. And so, the challenge is this: can you love without clinging? Can you hold someone in your heart without needing to hold them in your hands? Can you trust that love, in whatever form it takes, is enough, even if it does not fit the story you had imagined? Because love, at its deepest level, is not about ownership. It is about presence. And when you can love in this way, without fear, without grasping, you will find that love does not leave you. It simply changes form. And that in itself is a beautiful thing. Love, in its purest form, is not about finding completion in another. It is about recognizing that you were never incomplete to begin with. And yet, when you meet someone who stirs something deep within you, it is tempting to believe that they are the missing piece, that without them, something essential will be lost. But love is not about filling a void. It is about expanding what is already whole. The trouble is, we have been taught to believe that love is a kind of transaction, something given, something received, something that must be reciprocated in equal measure. But love does not function like an equation. It does not keep score. It does not ask for guarantees. It does not demand that the other person be anything other than who they are. And yet, so often we place conditions on love without realizing it. We say we love freely, but deep down we want assurance. We want love to follow a script, to meet our expectations, to give us what we believe we need. But real love is not about bending another person to fit our vision. It is about witnessing them as they are, allowing them to grow in their own way, even when it does not align with what we imagined. This is where so many struggle. Because love, when truly felt, awakens a kind of vulnerability. It makes us aware of how much we care, of how deeply we are affected by another. And in that awareness, there is fear. The fear that if we love without conditions, we might lose control. That if we do not try to hold on, we might be left behind. But the paradox of love is that it flourishes only in freedom. The moment you try to force it into a particular shape, it begins to dissolve. Not because love is fragile, but because love is alive. It must be allowed to breathe, to move, to evolve in its own way. And when you truly love someone, you do not seek to bind them. You do not love them in order to keep them. You love them because love itself is enough. This does not mean love is passive. It does not mean you stand aside and let it slip through your fingers. But it does mean you understand that love is not about control, it is not about possessing another, nor is it about needing them to play a specific role in your life. Love is the recognition of something profound, something that was never truly separate from you to begin with. And that is where many misunderstand love. They see it as an external event, as something that happens to them. But love is not an external force, it is a state of being. It is something that arises when you are fully present, fully open, fully willing to meet another exactly where they are, without expectation, without need. And when you approach love in this way, something remarkable happens. You realize that love was never something you had to find. It was something you had to allow. It was not waiting for you in another person. It was waiting for you in yourself. And so if you find yourself in the presence of someone who awakens this love within you, do not ask what they can give you. Do not wonder how they fit into your plans, your expectations, your desires. Instead, simply ask, can I love them as they are? Can I allow this connection to be what it is, without trying to shape it into something else? Because love, in the end, is not about what you receive. It is about what you become in the presence of it.